Ginny.
And I'm Ian.
And we're going to be talking about Stephen Biko.
Bantu Stephen Biko was a South African anti-apartheid activist. He was at the forefront of an anti-apartheid movement known as the Black Consciousness Movement. During Biko's short-lived life, he helped found various organizations to fight the oppressive apartheid system and fought alongside many other South African leaders. He was relatively unknown until his death in 1977, which sparked outrage and protest around the world.
Stephen Biko was born on December 18, 1946 in the East Cape province of South Africa, the third child of four. During the late 1960s, Biko wanted to study law. However, those around him encouraged him to study medicine. They feared that law was too closely tied to politics. The late 60s was a time of radical student progressivism around the world and psychedelic trends. Biko was determined to immerse himself in this. As soon as Biko arrived at the University of Natal, he became involved in many student clubs who protested the apartheid.
Demonstrations against the South African government's strict apartheid policies flare into shocking violence. At Sharpsville, an industrial township, thousands gather outside a police station in protest against new laws requiring every African to carry a pass at all times.
Biko's university was affiliated with the National Union of South African Students, NUSAS. NUSAS was a white-dominated group. Although the organization was founded as an opposition to apartheid, it held segregated meetings only for whites. Feeling frustrated, Biko felt compelled to rethink his approach to multiracial political activism.
One of Biko's greatest achievements was founding the organization known as the South African Students Organization in 1968. Otherwise known as SASO, the organization aimed to connect Black people and emphasize Black leadership through sport, cultural activities, and debating competitions in South Africa. Biko was elected as the first president of SASO.
In 1971, Biko and fellow Black activists in SASO developed the organization's primary ideology, Black consciousness.
We believe that in our country there shall be no minority, there shall be no majority, there shall just be people. And those people will have the same status before the law, and they will have the same political rights before the law. So in a sense, it will be a completely non-racial egalitarian society.
The early focus of Black consciousness was a criticism of anti-racist white liberals and liberalism as a whole. Biko felt that liberals joined the Black consciousness movement alongside Black people only to satisfy their own conscience.
The influence of the Black consciousness movement moved rapidly beyond universities and spread throughout South Africa. South African poets, writers, and theater groups, as well as Black citizens, spread ideas from this movement through literature, art, and daily conversation. The movement attempted to liberate the minds of its people. One of Biko's quotes supports the ideas of Black consciousness, and that the most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed.
When the South African government realized the threat that the Black consciousness movement posed to apartheid, it attempted to silence the movement and its leaders.
In 1973, the South African government banned Biko and restricted him to the town of Ginsberg in his home province of the Eastern Cape. This changed the Black consciousness movement significantly, and the Black Community Project. While banned, Biko worked from the background to unify the BCP.
Biko left his restricted area on many occasions to assist the BCP in ending apartheid. This required evading surveillance and police enforcement. However, on one such occasion, the government detained Biko and other activists, Peter Jones, at a roadblock.
While detained, Biko sustained severe beatings and brain damage, which went untreated. 6 days after the prison officials beat him, he was taken to a hospital and later pronounced dead on September 12, 1977.
Just some crazy terrorist who killed himself. Anyone who knows right from wrong would care. And Biko didn't kill himself. The police killed him.
Who told you that?
The whole world knows it. Just turn on the news. The South African police beat him and tried to hide it when he died.
At first, the government tried to cover up Biko's death as a hunger strike. However, later evidence showed that police and medical professionals involved lied about the cause of his death.
Thousands of people attended Biko's funeral in King Williamstown. His funeral was considered the first mass political funeral in South Africa. Many anti-apartheid protests were held in South Africa and around the world, including the United States. Protests occurred at South African embassies across the world. Biko's death gave him more fame than he had ever obtained during his life.
In 1977, following Biko's death, the South African government outlawed the Black Consciousness Movement and all related Black organizations. The leaders of such organizations were either imprisoned, exiled, or killed.
Biko left a lasting impact on South Africa. His activism helped end the apartheid system and redefine the culture of many African people. Biko caused a significant social, political, and cultural change by drawing attention to the injustice of apartheid.
Biko is particularly seen as someone who sacrificed for the nation when in the post-apartheid period, leaders from liberation movements are charged with corruption and self-serving politics. He has also been elevated as a leading intellectual and political activist, someone who has spoken out boldly and affirmed Black dignity.
Biko is often overlooked because the leadership of the Black Consciousness Movement was disbanded after Biko's death because the organization was proclaimed illegal. The efforts of Biko and student groups were overlooked and shadowed by other leaders like Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela.